Welcome everyone. We're going to wait just 30 seconds or so to let everyone in. Thanks for coming to today's webinar, Lessons from the Field, How Legal Teams Are Winning with Draft Pro. I'm Juliana Dunleavy. I will be your host moderator today. All right, let's get started. Welcome again. This is our confidentiality disclaimer. You're welcome to share this content that we present here with your organization. Otherwise, what you learn here should be kept confidential. To optimize your participation in today's webinar, we're going to go over a few housekeeping items. All participants are muted. Our session is being recorded. And you will receive an email with a link to the recording in the next couple of days. Our presentation will last about 30 minutes, after which we'll begin answering questions from the Q&A panel. So please put them in throughout the webinar and we will get them to the end. For questions that we don't address during our time together today, you'll receive an emailed list of our responses. Today we're going to talk about the great legal tech fragmentation, Litera 1, Lido, and Draft Pro. Our product marketing manager here and our product manager are going to talk about a few customer case studies and do a short demo. And speaking of our speakers today, are Leeman and Dreen. Leeman, would you please introduce yourselves? Liam, you can go first.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Liam McGannon, I work on the product team here at Litera. Been at Litera for about 3 years, started in the chief of staff function and moved over to the product team about a year and a half ago to lead Litera 1 and thinking about how we bring these desktop tools in the drafting suite into the cloud.
Hi everyone, I'm Indadine Rafuna. I'm lead product marketing manager here at Litera. Been with Litera for about 3.5 years now, looking after our drafting portfolio. So excited to see it moving to the cloud in Litera 1. All right, well, we're going to start by looking into the current tech landscape. So technology is leveling the playing field for law firms and alternative service providers. So your clients have more choice than ever, but their expectations are also increasing. In the next slide, we'll see that law firms are facing growing pressure from clients to be more efficient and deliver cost-effective services. But just throwing more tools at a problem doesn't guarantee better productivity, accuracy, or client service. Today, professionals are overwhelmed by technology and they use 342 applications in their daily work, jumping from one fragmented environment to another. Research from the University of California, Irvine, and the American Psychology Association shows that it takes us 23 minutes to refocus after switching context, and that in general, we lose about 40% of productive time to app hopping and interruptions. And while that could be acceptable in other industries, legal is still on the billable hour model, and time lost to fragmentation is time lost and revenue lost. That's why so many firms and legal departments are telling us that they're looking to consolidate and unify their tech experiences. Another trend we're seeing is that lawyers are increasingly working on the go. They're dependent on their laptops, tablets, and smartphones to deliver legal work, and it should be logical that their tools should follow them wherever they are. And finally, every organization knows that its collective experience is what makes their competitive advantage. Legal work is grounded in that past experience, but more and more organizations tell us that it's spread across different systems. And lawyers spend about 19% of their time crawling through each of these systems to find it, and it should be easier. Our solution to these challenges is Litera 1. We'll see in the next slide that we launched Litera 1 in March of this year. It is not a product. It is a unified interface or a platform where Litera products plug into. So it consolidates our wide portfolio of tools, from drafting to business performance, right in the places where lawyers work the most, in Word, Outlook, and web across PCs and Macs. Litera 1 is infused with generative AI that understands legal context to streamline legal work and surface experience data without asking users to switch tools and context. We've also modernized the tech experience that you have today with Litera One. Instead of having to install every add-in individually, all you have to do is deploy one modern Office add-in for Word and one for Outlook, reducing the maintenance burden and overhead you experience. At that time, any products that you have licensed with Litera will show up automatically in Litera One. Litera One is currently accessible through 3 access points or packages, what we call Base, Pro, and Advanced. And in a later slide, we'll cover Pro given the context of this webinar. In addition to consolidating your tech stack with Litera One, we're also innovating with agentic AI. In the next slide, we'll see Lido. We introduced Lido, our AI legal agent, last month. Lido is at the heart of Litera One. It's the AI legal agent built on 30 years of Litera's legal experience and intellectual property that transforms how lawyers work. Lido understands lawyer intent, it orchestrates and sequences the right pre-built legal skills, and delivers structured, reliable insights in Outlook and the web, and soon in Word too. Lido supercharges the current capabilities of tools integrated in Litera One and adds additional curated legal skills. For example, you're all familiar with our comparison experience, Litera Compare. It's one of the tools and workflows that's used by 72% of the legal industry. But with Lido, comparison is now further automated and streamlined. You can simply prompt Lido to redline a document directly in Outlook that you've just received via email, and it automatically generates a redline, summarizes changes, analyzes risk, and surfaces mitigation strategies down to clause rewriting. With Lido, our mission is to make AI a trusted part of everyday legal work for all law firms and legal departments of any size with any budget. As such, Lido is included at no extra cost to all of our Litera One packages, so Draft Base, Draft Pro, and Draft Advanced, which you may also know as Litera Desktop or Litera Draft in the past. And if any of you are also using our market-leading AI contract review tool, Kira, you'll also be able to access Lido in your subscription as included. And now that we understand what Lido is and how you can access it, Liam will walk us through how Litera One and Lido fit with Draft Pro.
All right, thanks, Andreen. So like Andreen just mentioned, Litera One and Lido are accessible through 3 commercial packages: Base, Pro, and Advanced. And today we're going to focus on Draft Pro. So Draft Pro, with all the features that you're seeing on the screen right here, automates the very repetitive work that associates do, right? From redlining, proofing, repairing, reviewing definitions, and more. It provides you with the ability to unify those core document workflows and eliminate point solutions so your lawyers can deliver polished documents that exceed client expectations without having to switch context every 11 minutes. Lido is included, right, across all of those packages, including Draft Pro. So as you see on the screen here, right, all Lido skills that are available today are included as part of Draft Pro. So you can access everything right there. So in the next slide, we're going to look at a case study, right? Customers are actually using this stuff today, and they're loving it. And so the first customer we're going to focus on, if we go to the next one here, perfect, is Hand Aaron Hall. So we're going to do 2 case studies, right? Walk through them today. This is the first one. And thank you to the customers, right, who are willing to show how our tools and experiences are helping their lawyers. So Hand Aaron Hall transitioned to Litera One earlier this year because locally installed desktop applications simply weren't an option for them anymore. Due to their office locations and weather conditions, they needed a cloud solution that would help them avoid those disruptions, right? So they've been using Litera One. And it makes the experience for their users seamless, given it meets them in Word, Outlook, and the web. And there's just a lot more efficiency, right? Users don't waste time and effort to find workarounds or halfway measures. They can move on to the next task quickly and intuitively. They also express that Litera's AI experience meets their requirements of productivity, ease of use, and data security. The next slide, I think we're going to talk about Delta, Andreen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Hand Arundel, we could see in their quote that they said that Litera One ticks all of their boxes. It has to be The AI has to show measurable benefits for productivity, for ease of use, and for security. So we are excited that Litera 1 met all of their requirements. The next customer is Delta Law Corporation. They've been using Draft Pro, and they also participated in our Lido Early Access program. What they loved about Draft Pro, especially that they highlighted, was proof, or what many of you, if you've been long-time customers with Litera, know as Contract Companion, which is now in the cloud and included in Litera 1. It allowed them to significantly reduce the time spent in proofing. The experience is much more intuitive now, so their drafting became more efficient. What did they think about Lido, Liam?
Yeah, so they were super pleased with what Lido could do. They were especially impressed with Lido's ability to review multiple documents and extract post-closing deliverables and timelines in those exportable formats like CSV. The user experience was intuitive. More importantly, they thought Lido has simplified the need for prompt engineering by providing curated skills, which we'll see in a second here during my demo. So even users less familiar with LLMs and AI were able to quickly get up to speed. So with Lido, there's no need to spend time in extensive training and education of users of AI. There's no need for lawyers to become prompt engineers, right? We do that work for you. And as such, adoption is quite easy.
And that's always so top of mind for everyone in legal that is using technology. You invest in a piece of tech, but gaining that return on investment hinges on adoption and change management. We were just going through the recent ILTA Tech survey, and one of the things that many law firms and legal departments struggle with is that change management component. So with Litera 1 and Lido, we've made it simple, we've made it intuitive, and it is, or your lawyers don't need to become prompt engineers. And now that we've walked through a couple of success stories, Liam will dive into the demo. Over to you, Liam.
I'll get my screen shared. And what I'm showing here is the Lido homepage, right? So this is available in Litera 1 Web. I'm going to walk through a few of the workflows available with Lido. Then I'm going to jump into Word and show some of the more traditional drafting tools that are available with Litera Draft Pro. And then I'll just jump right back into Lido to show one more workflow that kind of closes out the demo here. So this is Lido. As you can see, right, we have a bunch of different things we're calling skills here as I scroll down, right? And the way we see these skills developing and moving into 2026 here is we have core skills, right? So things like compare, right? Where you've used Litera compare for years and know and trust that redline solution. We're going to offer that up as something that can be triggered by natural language processing here, right? So the common chat-based interface that people are so used to now up top, and then bringing up and surfacing up all those core Litera skills that we've already done so well and have those rules-based engines for, we'll have here. Then we have things called legal skills. So these are built by exactly what we just talked about, that prompt engineering piece. We have a team called the Legal Knowledge Engineers at Litera. They're a group of ex-big law lawyers that now work in-house for us and in a prompt engineering capacity, right? And they build out, they're just hard at work building out all of these legal skills that you see here. And these essentially append a really long, detailed system prompt to your action, right? And then give you your output. So I'm going to demonstrate one of these legal workflows first here, right? So one of them, if I scroll over to the right, is this NDA playbook review. So I'm going to highlight, say your firm or organization has an NDA playbook. Okay, I'm going to go and get my playbook here, right? My NDA guide along with one of my 5 NDAs here. I'm going to upload those and say, analyze my NDA against this playbook. Ooh. So I enter that prompt. Lido intelligently, right, intuits exactly what I want to do and then kicks off this workflow immediately. So what you're seeing here, right, is the power of LLMs sending my 2 documents off, right, both my NDA as well as my NDA playbook that my organization has. And it's going through every single piece of that playbook, comparing, right, what the rule of the playbook is, and then what it's found and extracted from my own NDA. is, right? And saying whether it's compliant, partially compliant, or not compliant. So it's going through every single one of these, right, in seconds, something that would have taken hours of manual review in the past, giving me a nice table of all of those different points. And then at the bottom here, giving me a nice summary, right, along with actions, saying what I should do to then resolve and make this compliant across the board with my NDA playbook. But not everyone has NDA playbooks, right? So let me show you what I could have done if I just had to go back and view precedents, right? And look at my NDA I have at hand, compare it to past precedents here. So I'm going to load these again, the 5 NDAs we just saw, right? And I'm going to say analyze these in a grid, right? You have all these grids down here. And again, Lito's going to intake, right, that text, and then understand exactly the action I want to take, search through my documents, right, and then say, okay, I've analyzed these in a grid. So I'm going to view this grid, right, and let me just do it one more time here. I'll just add, there we go. Okay, I'll add the documents manually right up here. Okay, and we have a number of pre-built templates with our grids as well, right? So I go up here, today we have commercial agreements, lease agreements, and NDAs. So I'm gonna apply the NDA template here. And you can see that it just starts populating across all of those documents, extracting, right, the prompts up here, as well as giving me the option to add my own custom questions up top. So here I could say something like, right, are there carve-outs for non-solicits, right? I'm going to add that. And any custom prompt, in addition to the standard ones that came with that template, right, I can add right in, and it's going to go in, extract that from the document, and add it here. I could then, like I said earlier, right, take this to Excel and use it for other applications, right? So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate the commercial agreement one as well, right? Like as I said, we have a bunch of different agreements. So I'm going to add 2 SPAs here. Okay. So I'm going to go through that same action of building a grid analysis, right? All of my my projects and chats available to the left for 90 days. I can go back and view these projects. So my grid is initializing here, is about to be kicked off. And these documents are a bit longer, right? So it takes a little more time. Now I'm ready to view my grid. You can see it here. I'm going to go and select that commercial agreements template. And here I'm going to show you how I can actually interrogate Lito's outputs, right? So it goes through, it gets again, all of these different fields. And I scroll over to the right, and there's one on indemnification here, right? So as it loads, if I want to go in and really understand, 1, where it found that, right, the source of it in the document, and then 2, take more actions on it, I can then do that. So I click into it, right, and it highlights right within the document where it found that, where it extracted it, and then rationale, right, for the indemnification and what it found and identified in my grid. So I identify something in here that I want to go then take action on. Now I'm going to hop into Word with the same exact document, right, and show you how some of DraftPro's other tools can be used on contracts like this. So I'm going to go into Word here, right? It's the same exact document. Here you can see I'm on that indemnification clause. And the first tab I land on in Litera 1 for Word is the Review tab. So as I'm going in and I'm reviewing, right, interrogating this output, I come down to a term that I just want to 100% confirm, right? So I go to transaction documents. What are the transaction documents? I click review term, and the review tool goes in, gets each, right, transaction documents definition here, all of its 53 uses throughout the document that I can navigate to, right? And then every other term here bolded in blue for me to review their definitions as well. So in this example, right, I'm reading this indemnification clause super deeply for meaning, right, based on the interrogation I had with Lito. Now I'm in Word, I want to review this, and now I very closely understand, right, everything in this section and each of the different terms, right? I could continue this during my review, highlight every single term, pin the definitions there, save them for later, and move on with a vast understanding of what I'm working on here in Word. The second tool I'm going to show you really, really quickly here is Proof. So as Andreen mentioned, this is going to look super familiar to our contract companion user base. Proof goes in, uses that same backend engine that the review tool I just showed you does, but it surfaces up the defined terms that have critical issues that you need to resolve before you move on. So I'm going to click into the 30 critical issues that it has in my document, and identifies things like common stock equivalents, right? It's defined, but it doesn't actually have a use in the document. So do I want to remove it? Possibly. Bad actor is used, right? It's referenced by 2 terms, but it does not have a definition. And so here I could go in and define this straight within the task pane, right, with my favorite bad actor. Click Define and Insert, and it pops it right up in the house styles, right, alphabetically sorted here. And then the last thing, right, is things like closing has duplicate definitions, right? There's one there and there's one there. So it highlights things like that and allows me to delete those. Finally, right, it highlights things like names, dates, and more, right? Things you need to go and check on, completely verify before you move on, right? So just anything that's negotiable, phone numbers that you need to confirm, addresses, etc. Finally, the repair tool. So Proof is really about the content of the document and making sure it's proofread. Repair is about the formatting of the document. And so taking that next step to ensure that you have proofed and polished documents. So say I pasted some precedent text I found here in Arial 12 and my documents in Times New Roman 10. I just with a click of a button here, click Conform Font Type, and it goes through, combs through all that text and makes sure that it's all the same size, right? All the same type. Remove empty paragraphs, right? Goes through and gets any kind of things during the drafting process that in a 50, 100, 200 page document you can easily miss. Highlighting, graphics, just click each one of these buttons, polishes up your document, and make sure that you have a nice document to send out at the end of my review here. So now I'm going to hop back into Lito one more time, right? Say I completed my review, I proofed and polished my document, and now I sent that off. I get a new version from opposing counsel, and I want to compare those. Well, we're all familiar with our compare tool, right? And so I'm going to upload my original SPA, it was just showing there in Word, along with a second version. Now I'm going to ask Lito to compare these. So again, we use the power of the LLM, right, to understand your intent, and then it kicks it out to a rules-based comparison engine, right? So instead of having LLMs compare these things, we're using the trusted, right, accurate engine that you all know and love today. Runs my comparison, has my change log here to the left, as well as my full classic red line here to the right. And then what Lito does is actually suggest next skills I can take. So we extend that comparison workflow, right? We're going from a year ago, we just had the market leading comparison engine that gave you that red line and change log we just viewed. Then our first step, right, with generative AI was building these summaries. So on top of giving you the red line, we give you a nice bulleted list of substantive changes between the two documents, right? Allowing you to go, say I want to send this over Teams or over email as a body of an email to a colleague summarizing the changes there. And then we have mitigate risk. So this takes it one step further and it says, okay, not only what are the substantive changes here, right? Highlight those and form a bulleted list for me, but what are like the biggest impacts of those changes, right? What are the ones that are really going to present risk to me and present risk to my client, right? And then give me one, highlight the types of risks, so substantial risk, right? Minor risk, substantial risk, and then give me a summary of the change, the impact, right? So this is survival was changed from being indefinite to being only 6 months, right? And so this gives me, okay, the impact of that, well, survival of reps and warranties is generally 12 to 24 months, right? It understands my governing law and tells me, what I should do here. Gives me a risk assessment of that change, and then gives me actual mitigation strategies, right? Insert a survival period of at least 12 months, or rephrase the clause, right, to provide 24 months. And I can take Lido up on these changes, ask for rewrites, exit out of this, go back to the chat, and right there, with those rewrites, is my mitigation, right? What I can take when I go back into Word and redraft this document for my next version. So that is how we're thinking of, extending the comparison workflow, building on all of our core skills, as well as those legal skills like the NDA playbook I first showed, and really starting to build out Lido's functionality as part of your Draft Pro package. So with that, I'm going to hop back into the deck. Juliana, I'll stop sharing.
Hello. I'm just getting everything back up. All right, so thanks, Liam. If you want to see more of Draft Pro and Liam, you can scan this QR code or head over to our website to request a demo. If you're watching this live, I also have put the link in the chat. And we're going to move on to our Q&A. So let me go into our question panel. It asks, we have a question that asks, can you compare without Lido, or is it part of the base license?
Yes, so you can certainly compare how you know and love today, right? Without Lido, if you want to keep it basic like that. We just, with Lido, wanted to continue to extend that workflow for users who do want to take that option. But no, certainly you can continue to use compare as you know it today.
And Lido is included in the base license.
Absolutely. Lido is also included today in Litera Draft Base.
Yeah, so if you are not seeing that, or if you need help accessing or understanding how to utilize it to the best of its capabilities, please reach out to your CSM, or you can request a demo and they'll get in contact with you that way as well. We have a couple more. So one, it does say, how can I buy Lido? And Dreen, if you want to answer that one.
I think we've mentioned that enough during the presentation that Lido is included. So Litera is looking to democratize AI, so anyone can leverage agentic AI. And as such, it's in our base pro and advanced licenses, as well as like your Kira subscription.
Amazing. We got another question. How does Metadact integrate with Lido?
Yeah, absolutely, Jacob. So Metadact does not integrate with Lido quite yet. How we are thinking of doing this sometime in 2026 is offering a clean scale. So just like you have in Metadact today, right? You could add documents into that Lido chat I showed, click clean, and then it would remove metadata, right? Or same with redactions. We'd love to add a redaction scale where it would go in and redact any sensitive information. So that's how we're thinking about it, right? Building up those core skills, taking engines like that Metadact engine and making it something, an action you could take right there in Lido.
But just to caveat, that Metadact is currently included in Litera 1. So if you have Metadact desktop today, you can get in touch with your CSM or email success@litera.com to start that conversation of accessing Metadact in the cloud. This is especially relevant if you're using new Outlook, because now with Metadact in Litera 1, we can support that as well.
And then we have a question. How can you inform us on around how many jurisdictions does Litera 1 operate, i.e. customers in UAE, USA, and is it popular in the GCC region?
Yes, absolutely. So both your CSM as well as our Litera Trust Center, which all customers have access to, as well as prospects right in the buying process, we'll have that information. So as you go in, either an existing customer reach out to your CSM, prospect reach out to your sales executive, and they can get you all of that information for sure.
Yeah, we have a few questions that our customer success managers will follow up on. And I got a question that says, are desk tools end of lifing?
Absolutely not. So there are no end-of-life dates out there for our Litera desktop tools, things like Compare Desktop, right? And so with that, we want to really guide you on this journey as you go from the desktop into the cloud. You can continue to use those desktop tools as long as you do see fit and necessary, but we'd love to get you using some of these cloud tools as well, right? Because we believe that's the future, and that's where a lot of this innovation will continue to occur.
Amazing. We're just getting so many questions. With Metadect on Litera 1, is it compatible with Classic Outlook on 32-bit?
Yes, so that's the best part about these Office add-ins, right, is the compatibility across environments, across versions. So unlike the Visto and Com add-ins, we are not restricted, right, across those types of things. So again, your CSM would love to answer some of these. If we, let's see, looking in the chat.
Amazing. I think that covers all of the questions that we can answer today live. Again, we will have your CSM or AE reach out to you if we didn't answer your question. But thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.